Hello and welcome to another episode of Fast Football and Philosophy with me, Dr. Adam Foxon.
Me, Professor Jack
I
Cunningham.
got there in the end, Jack. Last episode, actually no, we need to apologise, Jack.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we always have to apologise because I always say something wrong. But I was accosted in the street by a listener
Ooh.
who told me off for not having it ready, for not having our episode ready on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's your
Sorry
fault, isn't
about
it,
that.
Jack?
It is my fault. Yeah. I was minding my own business on Saturday, stood up, not carrying anything except my own body weight, and ping went in my back. God knows what that is. I couldn't walk for.
I'm gonna start calling you sick note because what we're supposed to do on Sunday, Jack?
No, I did miss that. I was supposed to be in goal for a football team. I haven't played.
A charity football tournament.
And I had all my kit out on the bed. I was like the birthday boy. I was just so looking forward to getting. I even had a goalie cap. I was so looking forward to that, and then had to.
It was indoor football, Jack.
I'm still the cap was going on. I don't care where it was.
Oh dear.
And it's not happened. And it's like, maybe, well, was that the gods telling me, Jack, mate, you're 61. What are you doing with a football kit on the end of your bed? So.
You don't look a day over 60, Jack.
Thank you. It's all the crew in my ears.
So last week we were looking at Hyperreality, Baudrillard, and how actually Baudrillard might be right. He might be right. He might be right in that all of the media that we consume now, because football isn't really a sport anymore, and we were listening to another podcast, weren't we, Jack? Libero, which is full of kind of middle class journalists who are very good at the job, and they were talking about how football is kind of, it's not really a sport anymore, it's media content, and actually it's a shame, but that's kind of what happens to a real thing that then becomes a representation of a real thing. It becomes a TV show as opposed to a sport. It's a TV show about sport. It's Ted Lasso, and that's kind of what football, in real football, has become. And if in fact for lots of people that becomes the most important thing, because now I don't have to go to a football game, I don't have to play football because I can play FIFA and I can play, well, I can watch it on TV. But here's the thing. We believe that Sunday League is more important. We believe that going to watch a match, a local grassroots team is more important. Me and you on it was Tuesday night, actually, after we recorded the podcast, we went to go watch Chelsea Barcelona in the pub.
Yeah.
And explain to me what it was like.
So we were in a pub and we knew they had the football on, and it was a nice screen, big screen, and all that. It is a football pub, but it depends on the game, right? So we went down there. It was on the screen. It looked fabulous. Me and you were sitting there. There was a bit of a crowd in, wasn't there? But there was, the sound was off, and it's Lincoln, and nobody's really invested in the game. For some reason, there's not many Chelsea fans in Lincoln. So there wasn't.
Good.
So it was very interesting to watch, but it lacked a certain quality that we would tend to call atmosphere. But we had a discussion about this. We call it atmosphere of the match. Oh, there was a great atmosphere today. It was just there was a real buzz about the place. But then, a couple of days before or after that, can't remember when, I was going to hear a talk from you in Lincoln Cathedral. And I get there nice.
It wasn't memorable for you, Jack.
It was very memorable. It was so good. I can't remember when it was. All right. So I arrived there nice and early because I'm a punctual lad. And the cathedral was really empty. But there was an atmosphere there.
Yeah.
So we just use this word atmosphere to describe the feeling you get in the Kop in Anfield and in an empty cathedral. So it's a lazy thing. It's a lazy term because we don't really know what to call it.
Yeah.
So this podcast, I think we're going to explore this, Adam, and
we're going to support atmosphere.
We're going to support atmosphere. We're going to suggest a different term for that.
Atmosphere. Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we were watching that game and there was no sound on. No one was really watching it apart from us.
Yeah.
I actually think some people had come back from a funeral or something because they were
Looked like that.
Yeah. And the football was the last thing on everyone's minds, I think.
They watched the goals, didn't they?
They watched the goals. Yeah, they did. But they didn't watch all the boring stuff before in between that. Yeah. So what are we going to call this thing that we lazily call atmosphere?
Yeah, well, you were.
And where do we get it from?
Yeah, yeah. So you were talking about a very, very famous thought experiment that comes from Frank Jackson, an Australian philosopher. He wrote a journal article in 1982 in the Philosophical Quarterly,
Right.
and he called it
Good one.
Epiphenomenal Qualia. Okay, very, very long terminology there, but it's quite simple actually to break it down. Okay, because epi in Greek means on top of or besides. Okay, so epiphenomenal is something that is besides the physical thing. All right, so that it's one of the famous ways of explaining it is that it's the heat from the light bulb. Okay, and the light bulb is not for creating heat, and the heat has no effect on the light bulb. It's epiphenomenal. It's outside or on the edge of or over the phenomenon, which is the
So
light
that's like
bulb.
an epicenter or something.
The epicenter would be, yeah, that's kind of like, it's kind of like this would illustrate how we use epicenter wrong, really, because we usually call and that definition of an epicenter
Exactly.
is bang in the center, but actually, if you're going to go with the Greek, it would be the bit around the center. It would be the bit on the center.
But I guess I guess if like I mean, the epicenter of an earthquake, we don't actually know where it starts from. We have like an idea of where it starts from, and that's what we call the epicenter. It's near to where we think it probably is, like an area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the important term here is what is the epiphenomenal, and he comes up with this word qualia, which we think you can really apply it to football and come to a clearer philosophical understanding of what's going on in football. He has, in that journal article, he has one of the most famous thought experiments of all time, which is called the knowledge argument, or sometimes called Mary's room. Do you want to explain what that is, Adam?
Yeah. So actually, there's a few versions of it, because this is what philosophers do now, isn't it?
Yeah, they add and subtract to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've read stuff on similar related arguments where people are going around with bazookas and cheating on their wives, and there's all sorts of things going on in these thought experiments.
But basically,
so Mary lives in a room, and she has a virtually limitless amount of books in which she can learn about color. And she actually ends up becoming the world's preeminent expert on color. She knows absolutely everything there is to know about color. And the only problem is that Mary lives in a room which is monochromatic. All she's got is black and white. And the things that cover her skin are black and white. She looks out the window, it's black and white. The TV is black and white. The books are obviously black and white. Everything is. But then one day, she opens the door, and she sees grass, and she sees flowers, and they're in colour.
Yeah.
And the question that Jackson is asking us is, even though she already knew everything there was to know about colour, except having experienced it, now she has seen a red rose for the first time. Does she learn something new about redness?
Now, the answer to that question is really important philosophically, because Frank Jackson says, yeah, she does. And you kind of read it and say, everyone would agree, yeah, she does.
Of course she does.
Now, this is an argument against the physicalists who say everything in the world is physical, okay? And Frank Jackson is saying in this, there is something beyond the biological, the physical, and the chemical. They tell us a lot. Mary knew about the biology, the physics, and the chemistry of colour and how we conceive of it, except she's never seen red. When she sees red, she has this epi-knowledge, which he calls qualia, and it is, this is very, very important, not just for colour, but for things like smelling a rose, the taste of a lemon, also things like jealousy. So we know what's happening in the brain. We can maybe come to a complete knowledge of that, but we don't know, why am I jealous? What's happening when I'm jealous? And he says that's qualia. It's not physical. It's not chemical. Let's call it qualia. And it is, if you like, he called himself a qualia freak. And he said, he has a great way of expressing this. I really like the way he writes. And he says, this is like believing in the fairies. Because you're believing in something that's not physical in this world, that exists, that we can't put our finger on, but it's very important. The smell of a rose, the reason why you get jealous, itchiness,
itchiness, yeah.
That is qualia. Now,
because I can describe to you what itchiness is. in really long and spend a long time on it,
Yeah.
and they really explain to you what it feels like to be itchy.
Yeah.
But until you actually have to itch
Yeah,
that mosquito bite,
yeah.
you never know what it's really like to
Yeah,
itch.
exactly. Yeah. And listen, we can all remember we're standing at the school disco when you're 14, and that girl you fancied is doing the slow dance with the lad you hate who's really good at football, and you're just raging. You're physically in pain.
Yeah.
Why? What's happening there? That
Yeah.
can't be chemical or physical or biological, says Frank Jackson. Other people would say, oh, no, it is. It's all hormones and all that kind of chemical. But he'd say, no. It's none of those things. There's something which is epiphenomenal on top of those things that we can't touch, we can't explain. But that's what's driving you nuts it's
that indescribable feeling of experiencing. We can, as you say, we can account for jealousy. We can account for these things from a chemical perspective, but you can't account for the feeling of jealousy.
Yeah.
You can't account for the feeling of itchiness.
Yeah.
I always tell students, it's about this. I can tell you about what it's like. But I can tell you everything there is to know about cars. I know everything there is to know about cars. I know how they work. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. But I've never driven one.
Yeah.
Am I going to learn something new when I drive this car? Of course I am.
Yeah.
For the first time, I'm going to drive. You can't describe that feeling that I get when I do it. And when you sit in that new car, when you get that new haircut, you can't. You can write about it as much as you like, but until someone does it, you can't really.
That's right, and we do it with football as well. So we go to a match and we see the buzz was amazing, it was electric, or we say, we were choked about the desire. But we're just using these words because they're convenient, but we're not really saying what is happening when I'm crying with joy. what is happening there? We don't tend to analyze it, but qualia would come in there and describe that thing you call atmosphere. It's the qualia of the match.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an individual one. It's
qualia. It is a qualia because there's lots of them. So you come out of that match and you've experienced multiple qualia, haven't you? Because you were up, you were down, you were excited, you were exhilarated, maybe you were bored as well.
But maybe. Max Rushton, who's normally the presenter on Football Weekly show, he talks about his dad. I think they're Oxford. United fans, I want to say, maybe I don't know. He said that one day someone took a picture of his dad because his dad was there. He's like a season ticket holder watching the game, but not really because he's reading Plato's Republic.
But he was probably thinking to himself, "What's this all about?" I'm going to start a podcast. You pull out my copy of Plato's Republic and see what Plato has to say about all this.
But actually, we get this all the time, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll tell a joke and I'll go, just had to be there.
Yeah.
Because it's that feel. I literally can't describe the feeling of being in that position, in that event.
Yeah.
And that's the qualia around that event.
Yeah.
It's that indescribableness.
Yeah. It's that Mary moment when she sees red and knows more. And so if you're used to kind of sitting at home playing computer games about football or watching football on Sky with all its punditry and stats all flashing up in front of you, you will be like Mary in the room to a certain extent, and you're missing out on in plural again, the qualia of going down even to the Sunday League match or the big match. They'll all have different qualia. You're really missing out on that. I was struck out to extend the metaphor I used last week. I talked about my friend Algernon loves his Irish pubs. Goes to them.
Why do you speak Algernon?
Don't know.
Random English name.
No one in Ireland is called Algernon. That's why I picked it. We don't allow that name. Okay, so he goes to his pubs. When he comes to the one in Connemara, he's very disappointed. It's a little bit dingy. The toilets aren't great, and there's only two old fellas in the corner, right? Yeah. He's sitting there. 9 o'clock though, people start coming in and they're bringing their instruments with them. And there's a lad turns up. He's been in Australia working for 3 years. He comes in. He brings a load of mates in. The music starts. The singing starts. I haven't heard that lad. He sings the Wild Colonial Boy. It's brilliant. I tell him to sing that. Then we're walking out at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And we're just saying, whoa, that was amazing. You will not get that in Billy Mulligan's Chain Pub in Luton or Venice or wherever she has them or wherever they have them. You won't get that because you have all the physical things, the chemicals, the biology, the physics in Billy Mulligan's that say Irish, Irish, Irish.
Yeah.
You don't get the qualia.
Yeah, you don't get that extra little bit.
It's spontaneous. It comes from somewhere we don't know. And that's the football thing as well. When we apply it to football, we say, it's lovely and you're sitting there on a Sunday afternoon, isn't it? In your nice warm house and you've got snacks and you've got... But you're missing the qualia. You will not get that in that experience.
There is something indescribable about attending these kinds of events. And actually, and we were talking about how they are related to time because, and again, actually in this one episode of Libera that we listened to about how football is changing and the way that we consume it is changing. Rory Smith described talking to I think it was a TV executive, and he said that that the TV executive referred to football as time decayed media content, in that it's the one thing that we absolutely cannot miss. You can record that TV show that you listen to. You can binge watch, and we were talking about the what's it called again? The Gambit, or what was it called? The chess program. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Queen's Gambit.
The Queen's Gambit. Yeah, we can binge that in a day, and we can and we can watch Stranger Things that's just come out. We can do all these kinds of things, right? But you can't miss that game.
Yeah,
you can't miss that game.
Yeah.
There was actually a bit of a challenge where people would try and go the whole day without watching any games or hearing about the results, just so that they could sit in front of Match of the Day and just watch it, kind of unfiltered, and just really enjoy that kind of old experience that it might have been like before we get this massive saturation of football where there seems to be 5 games on a day now, and you can never really get away from it.
So what we are talking about there is in Greek, in ancient Greece, there are 2 words for time: chronos and kairos, didn't it? So chronos is what you think of time in terms of numbers. It's linear. It's months and years and that kind,
and minutes and hours and days and
exactly. So it's the mathematics of time. All right. And that was quite late coming into civilization in Greece. The 3rd century they start doing that.
Okay.
3rd century BC, I mean.
Sure.
So really, but there's another Greek term which is much richer than that, and it is kairos, which means in time, in that moment, the experience, which you just call deep time. It's the experience of it. It's the time is right kind of thing. It's now. Yeah. It's let's do it now. It comes from an archer's expression in Greece, where the archer has got his bow back like that, and it's there's the perfect time to bang. And that's what you've just been talking about deep time, which football can give you. Like nothing else really in our modern civilization. It gives you that kairos, that deep time experience.
And you're right. And when we say things like you had to be there.
Yeah.
You really do, because in that opportune moment, in that time when your team scores the goal or the keeper saves that penalty or whatever it is, and you go absolutely nuts, you go crazy for it. That opportune time, that kairotic time, is just full of qualia.
Yeah.
It's just full of it.
It's really full of it. And what we were talking about before as well is that it doesn't stop. It's preserved. So you were born after England won the 1966 World Cup, but you will have experienced it in Kairos because your dad and your uncle would have told you about it. Your mates around the pub, you can talk about it around the pub and resurrect it, because it's kind of sits there in the ether, and it can be pulled out again and again. Obviously not like the day in Wembley, but part of it.
And actually, that's like a standard human thing that we do. I mean, we do that for all sorts of things. I'm not particularly nationalistic. I'm not particularly patriotic, but I like to think we did pretty well in the wars, and I like to think when the national team come out, or when England come out, and I become I want the boys to win, and I want England to win the World Cup, and I want And yet, I wasn't part of World War Two.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I wasn't a part of that. My granddad was fine.
It would,
But
yeah.
I wasn't.
I would suggest that 80% of the people who sing the song when they're playing Germany about 2 world wars and 1 World Cup weren't involved in the Second and First World War either.
No.
They're owning it.
But we're owning it because it's that kairotic thing. It's that. It's actually when we play Germany, it's the opportune time to do it. It's we've got you here. This is the thing. And again, it brings up this kind of qualia in us. It's that thing. Oh, you should have seen the look on those German faces when we were singing that. And I mean, I've spoken to plenty of Germans about this, and they don't care at all. They don't care at all.
Not my problem, mate. I've got no skin in the game there, mate.
I once had this friend called Mila, and I said to her, like, oh, when this happens, like, you know, if you read the back pages of the Sun, it'll say World War III and she said, what? Like, what do you mean it does do that? But again, it's that kairotic thing. It's an opportunity. It's the opportune time to bring up these kinds of memories that live long in the memory. But B, it's because it evokes this kind of epiphenomenal thing. It's this thing that I can't really describe. I can't really describe to you in any kind of way what it feels like to be English in the same way that you probably can't describe the way that you feel Irish.
Yeah.
In any kind of meaningful way to anyone else.
Yeah.
In the same way that I can't describe what it was like to watch Lincoln beat Ipswich in the FA Cup. And you know, I was there. It was this amazing experience. I can't describe that to anyone.
Well, because you can't use physical adjectives.
No.
And so when you can't use physical adjectives about something you're trying to describe, it's impossible to describe it. It's ineffable.
It's ineffable. and ineffable literally means you can't describe it, right?
Yeah,
It's this like unknowable thing. And it's unknowable precisely because we haven't got the words.
Yeah.
We haven't got the words.
Yeah. And that's the richness of big sporting events like football, but also small sporting events that you're involved in as well. Like, you know, you could win the crappiest league in the country. Great moment of qualia, though.
I'll have you know, Jack, right, that my football team, right, in no small part down to Josh Russell's goals, and he's been after a shout out, right?
Well done, Josh.
We won the league last season, Division 3 Lincoln Sunday League, right?
Unbelievable.
Champagne everywhere. I'm not joking. Champagne everywhere. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I am living long on that. That is staying in my mind's eye for a long old time.
Yeah. You can't get that when you're sitting on your couch.
No.
You just can't.
No. And when we all go back to the pub for whatever reason, and we bring out that trophy again, oh, you get that. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah. It does. It's that qualia that's attached to that moment.
What we're arguing here, there's another philosopher, a Canadian philosopher called Marshall McLuhan, who, you know, coined the phrase the global village.
Yes.
And he said medium is the message. And what he's basically saying is when print came in, we all became individualistic. Okay, we were collective before that. We touched a bit on this in the corporeity episode, didn't we?
Yes, so we did.
Medieval people are all part of this single body.
Yeah.
Printing comes in and it makes individuals of us because we can now do all this with our book in front of us.
I don't have to talk about all these ideas about what people think because I can read it for myself.
Yeah. Don't have to share it. I can do it on my own. Now that's superseded because he predicts the World Wide Web and the electronic age.
Yeah.
And he says that we're going to become a collective identity again, and we'll become tribal. What we're saying is kind of contradicting that. We're talking about the World Wide Web coming in and taking over something like football and actually making us all experience it individually again.
Yeah, and it's primarily because people are becoming fed up of what comes along with, because so McLuhan is trying to talk about how the medium is the important thing. It's not necessarily what's been displayed on TV. Like I watch so much football, I don't really care about any of it.
Yeah.
But actually, it's the important thing is the fact that I'm watching it on TV.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. It's the practice of me watching on TV or listening to it on the radio or whatever it may. That's the important thing because it shows me that I can do it from the comfort of my own home. It means that, you know, and all these kinds of things, all these kinds of related things. Whereas actually, you're right, Jack, is that takes away from the epiphenomenal character of football. It takes away something. It takes away that je ne sais quoi from football. That thing that you can't describe. You know.
We used that word last week, and in our title this week, hypercollectivity. I think that term doesn't exist, by the way. I don't think it might do. Don't know.
It might do.
We thought we made it up, didn't we? Hypercollectivity is a qualia. Of football that you cannot get if you start it
watching it in your living room.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's a pretty good episode, Derek. I think we've done a pretty good job there.
This is a term we need to apply to football to really understand, to make the most of it as well. It's not just about understanding it; it's about to say, "Oh yeah, it's that." Right? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do more of that.
Yeah.
I want more qualia.
I want more qualia.
I want qualia on the cornflakes. Qualia on the cornflakes in the morning.
But you're right. That's what we need more of. We need to just inject it in my veins, and give me some more qualia.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good pun, but I can't think of any. No. But actually, no one else is talking about this kind of stuff, and I think we could write a paper on this, Jack. I think football is kairotic medium.
Yeah.
I think that's
The qualia of mercy is not strange, something like that. Do you think?
Oh, you've been thinking about this, haven't you? You've been thinking about this, and actually, we know that some academics will listen to this episode, so no taking our idea, Jack.
Sure. Don't be stealing it.
Yeah, that's plagiarism, which is the cardinal sin of academia.
I never do it.
Why are we laughing at that? You don't do it. You can't do that.
I know.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Fast Football and Philosophy. And if you enjoyed it, we seem to have plateaued, Jack, a little bit. We're at just under 50 followers.
Yeah.
And we want to get to that point.
Tell everybody. Pepsi Max are not going to sponsor us unless we get more people. They're putting their foot down. Unless we get to 50, they're not.
But if you do like the pod, then please do share it with your friends, with your family. And if you hate the pod, then share it with people that you also dislike.
Yeah.
Just tell them not to listen. You should listen to this podcast because it's fucking terrible. And I nearly got away with an episode without swearing. I was so close. I said it on my breath. It's fine. Yeah. Nobody heard it. And also another listener who has described themselves as our number one fan because they binged all of our episodes on the way home from work one day. Told me why Pied Noir are called Pied Noir. And when did we talk about the Pied Noir?
We did in the Camus.
The Camus
because
episode, he's Algerian.
He is Pied Noir.
Yeah. And so they were called that because it became like I don't know if it was pejorative or not, but it became this kind of term to refer to white Algerians because a lot of them wore black boots.
So there you go.
So black feet.
Black boots. Well, there you go.
So there you go.
Thank you. What was her name?
Olivia.
Thank you, Olivia.
Actually, she speaks French. So merci, Olivia.
Merci.
Oh,
sorry about that.
Yeah, never mind. I apologise for that. But again, if you do like the podcast, please do share it. So, on that note then, I guess it's au revoir from me.
And au revoir from me.
Au revoir.